Someone else is here. In fact, he's very close to me at the moment, is the French countertenor Philippe Jaroussky, who is making an encore appearance, and a very welcome one, I suspect by popular demand, with the Australian Brandenburg Orchestra, a tour that begins in just under a week's time, next Wednesday in Sydney, and the concert's going on to Melbourne as well. And he's with me now with a beautiful flower in front of him. And
yes, thank you.
Bienvenue and welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
That's good. How does it feel to be coming back? It's your second time. It was good the first time, huh?
In my third time already.
Third?
Yeah, it was 6 years ago the first time. And it's such a pleasure to be here, of course, to sing and to be back in Australia too. And it's quite far from Paris, but I'm always very happy to come back here.
Quite far, but a little bit warmer at this time.
Ah, yes, this is beautiful weather now for me.
The Parisian winters can be.
Yes, it's very cold now in Paris.
Can be tough. Yeah. All right. Well, it's music of Handel and Porpora.
Yes,
that you're singing. And it's fascinating, isn't it? Because these Handel operas, we never see them or hear them complete, but we love to hear these excerpts, these arias and recitatives that you're singing. Well, Handel's very popular now, Philippe. Why do you think this is?
Oh, just because he's one of the most incredible genius of the history of music, I think. The operas, the oratorios he composed for the voice are just maybe the best opera of the operas of the 18th century. But now it's true that a part of Handel, we are these last 10 years, for example, we have rediscovered all the Vivaldi operas.
Yeah.
And now we are rediscovering all this Napolitan school, all these fantastic composers, Leonardo Leo, Leonardo Vinci, Alessandro Scarlatti, and of course this incredible Nicola Porpora, who was a very good composer and also one of the most famous teachers for castrati and composers. He was the teacher of Haydn, for example.
Wow.
And then I think I proposed to Paul Dyer and the Brandenburg to do this project speaking about the rivalry between, of course, these two famous composers, Handel and Porpora, and also between two famous castrati, the two most famous probably, Farinelli and Calestini.
Yep.
And these four guys were together in London for a few years, fighting each other. And then we bought this program speaking about this quite amazing story.
Now, Philippe, we must go. I have to find out how you become a countertenor, because I read you're born in France. You began as a violinist. You were obviously a very, very good violinist. You won prizes. Then you became a pianist. But by the age of 18, you were studying singing. So
yes,
tell me how you discovered not just your voice, but your countertenor voice, your high alto voice.
Yes, it's true that some of my colleagues, countertenors, they started quite maybe a little bit earlier. They were in trebles, in boy choirs. Then finally I discovered my voice at 18. I came to a concert of a French countertenor in a church, and he was singing famous arias. And I was totally fascinated by this voice. In the same time, I say, I want to do that in my life. And I met his teacher, who is still my teacher now after 15 years already. And that's life. Finally, in one evening, I decided to become a countertenor. And it works. I'm lucky. It works.
So before this, you obviously you sang. I mean, you obviously sang things in your baritone voice, but
a little bit. But maybe because I was a violinist, I was quite quickly attracted to sing in my high register, and it was the most easy way to sing for me. It was really the easiest one was my head voice. From the beginning.
A head voice. So one day you stood in front of your bedroom mirror and you sang like this, and it sounded good.
Yes, but at the beginning it's not so easy to become a countertenor. I was quite obsessed, and I was asking to everybody, does it sound natural or not for you? Because of course this is not my speaking voice.
Of course.
But it's the same for finally all the lyrical voices. If you hear a soprano, fortunately, apart the Castafiore, nobody is singing like they are speaking,
Yeah.
then it's the same difference for a countertenor. But it's true that I was quite obsessed by this thing, to sound the more natural as possible, which is quite not very
That's
normal.
right. That's
Yeah.
right, to make it sound natural. But
Yeah.
it is a different way of producing the voice. So is it, if you sing maybe like this concert, 8 arias, eight numbers, is that more or less tiring on the throat for you than for a baritone or a tenor, for instance?
It depends, because I think each singer has really to find his own repertory.
Yeah.
And that's what I like the most, to be a singer. And when you're a singer, you don't have to sing some arias. It's not like a violinist or a pianist. If you're a violinist, you need to be able to play a Beethoven concerto or Tchaikovsky or Sibelius. If you are a pianist, you have to prove that you have a certain technical level. For singers, it's quite different. You can really build your own repertory, and then it's less dangerous, of course.
Yes.
As a countertenor, what could be dangerous, and what I'm doing now for this next 8 concerts with Brandenburg, is that I'm singing the castrato repertory, and this is maybe the most challenging repertory you can sing.
I bet.
Because it's quite sometimes unhuman. And then, of course, you are taking risks with your voice. But I think sometimes it's what the audience is expecting from us to take risks, and what is a part of a recital too. And of course, a lot of these arias are quite virtuosic, and you need to of course to train a lot.
How high will you sing in these concerts? What are your top notes? A's, B flats?
Yes, my range is, I'm singing, A, but at 4/15, this is the baroque pitch. But I'm not trying to sing too high, because I think in this repertory, actually, it's even sometimes more important to be able to sing the lower as possible too. We forget that the range of a castrato was, of course, high, but also very low.
Yes.
And they could really use also the chest voice.
So you use your chest voice on occasion? Yeah.
Sometimes. I have to say that it's not my specialty, but I'm working on it more and more, because sometimes if you are on stage, if you have a big orchestra, you have a big stage, you need to be heard.
Yes.
And it's true that for low notes, sometimes it's better to sing in chest voice, in tenor voice.
You mentioned that there are 8. This is amazing. Do you not think that this orchestra, the Brandenburg Orchestra, is so popular that they have to play the same concert 8 times?
Yes, and this is quite unusual for me, because I have the impression to make an opera production. And this is also fantastic, because most of the times when I'm touring with the same program in Europe, for example, I'm traveling all the time. I am one day in Paris, one day in Berlin, one day in London, and sometimes it's very tiring. And then now we have the time to stay in the same city and to still progress during these 8 concerts together. We can still rehearse a little bit. We are not so tired by the trips.
Yes.
And then this is a different way to work. And actually also it's very comfortable, because the 2 halls in Melbourne and Sydney are very beautiful, and the acoustic are great.
Yes.
And then for a singer, of course, it's the very important thing, because when you are singing all the time without microphones, you need good acoustics. And this is not all the time the case.
Now, look, I'm so grateful you could come and have a chat this morning. And I should mention that you're going to be online, aren't you, through Twitter?
Yes.
From 11 o'clock this morning, people can actually converse with you through a couple of streams. One is #Baroque, BAROCK, Baroque, and the other one is #Brandies. And you'll be chatting to anybody from in about an hour's time on through the Twitter feed.
And I have to confess that it's the first time I will use Twitter. And that's why it will be my first Twitter party.
I think that you will have no shortage
time.
of... Yeah, I think a lot of people will be queuing up to talk. It is so great that you're back, and you're so popular. We love you here. And
oh, thank you so much.
You have some marvellous concerts. Philippe Jaroussky, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Bye-bye. That's Philippe Jaroussky. What a gentleman. What a singer. And I'll give you the details probably after the news. In the meantime, here he is singing the music of Gluck.
nocchiero, esperto, nell'incerto, ondoso, regno. Poter frale, errante, legno, scorra in si avversa stella, o furor di mia procella, fai che rompa duro